battle erupts between married men after a renter moves in their home. Resident of the village is released from rehab, arrested with crack cocaine. Villager refuses to take a breath test after crashing in a roundabout. Villager wins $1 million lottery prize with ticket bought at the Circle K. A driver with suspended license and syringes arrested in the Villages. Prosecutor reduces a charge in fatal country club beating in the Villages. Anxiety rises in Glendale Villas after confirmation of a 350 square foot anomaly. Historic site of the Villages included in the upcoming Lady Lake paving projects. Construction plans filed for a new restaurant at Spanish Springs. Villager begins serving prison sentence after 7th DUI conviction. Eager crafters head to the new Hobby Lobby store in the Villages. It's finally opened. Villager IDs her live-in grandson involved in alleged roundabout road rage. Villager who wouldn't give a urine sample wins a big victory in a criminal case. A villager sentenced after crashing a BMW into golf carts at Brownwood. A villager's daughter was sentenced in a DUI crash at a popular restaurant. Villager's problematic son, once plucked from a pond, back in trouble again. This and more coming up. Let's have some more news. Villager began serving a prison sentence on Thursday after a 7th conviction for driving under the influence. Donna Hanson, 63, of the village of Chatham, was sentenced earlier this month in Marion County Court to 15 months in prison. It's about time after 7 convictions. It's time, if you're going to play, you're going to pay. I do not feel sorry for him whatsoever. I'm not a bleeding heart. Not to this. She was turned over to the Florida Department of Corrections and began the process of incarceration at the Florida's Women's Reception Center in Ocala. It is highly likely Hanson will be assigned to the Lowell Correctional Facility for the women in Marion County, currently home to the 91-year-old villager Marilyn Hamilton, convicted in the hit and run involving 2 bicyclists, and 37-year-old Jessica Lewis, convicted of inflicting a skull fracture on her young child while living on the historic side of the Villages. Construction plans have been submitted for a renovated restaurant at Spanish Springs Town Square. This makes about the 7th restaurant in that same building over the years. They just can't seem to keep nobody there. My only problem with this is it all gets turned over to FMK and he's going to have a monopoly here. That doesn't seem right to me. The restaurant going in at the former Augustine's 1812 restaurant will be christened Bella Vita, according to the documents on file with the town of Lady Lake. FMK Group will take over the location and could open Bella Vita as early as this fall. Ooh, just in time for the snowbirds to come back. FMK has the undisputed record of success in Florida's friendliest hometown, operating Bluefin Bar and Grill, Harvest at Brownwood, the Chop House at Lake Sumter Landing, Costa Del Mar at Spanish Springs, and several country clubs, if not almost all of them. Prior to Augustine's 1812 house, the restaurant Demshires opened at that location in 2017. Demshires closed in 2020 and blamed its downturn on COVID-19 and the closure of the town square and the Sharon L. Moore's Performing Arts Center during the height of the pandemic. Yeah, a new restaurant. We'll have to check it out. I usually give it time to settle in because everybody will show up, and if it opens up around snowbird season, it's a nightmare sometimes to get in a restaurant. A celebrity chef from Seattle found his dream home in the Villages only to have his bubble burst over the property problem. Sean Langan was confronted with a life-changing decision when he learned that he will have to have a double lung transplant. He started looking for a new place to start the next chapter of his life. His flight touched down in Florida. I got off the plane and I could breathe, said Langdon, who has since been admitted to the program at at UF Shands in Gainesville while he prepares for his double lung transplant. When he and his wife found the Villages, they considered it destiny. They spent a very short time at a brand new home in the St. John's Verandas before they opted to pay cash for the $509,100 house, which included a $49,000 premium for a water view of Lake Oklahoma. We were very rushed to make a decision, he said. They sold their restaurant in Seattle and made the move to Florida's friendliest hometown. Because he is immune compromised, Logan's doctors have warned him against swimming in pools at recreation centers. So he and his wife began looking at having a pool built in their backyard. That's when the dream home began to look a lot less dreamy. They learned that they actually have significantly more land than they realized. Their land extends into what was believed to be their neighbor's property. Our home was built in the wrong location and angle. Our neighbor has 33% of our property we paid for. When Langdon tried to contact the Villages, he claims he was met with indifference. Well, I'm shocked. Logan was persistent and wanted the Villages to make it right. He claimed one representative ran out the back door rather than deal with the problem. They basically said, that's the way it is. No, it ain't. Logan's annual property tax bill is about $5,000, but his calculations, he is paying about $130 per month for land he owns but cannot access. This week he won around when he went before the Architecture Review Committee and was granted special permission to proceed with the pool in his backyard, which is so small that the pool will take up most of the space. While that's a victory, he admits, he's still chafing over the property that belongs to him, but he can't use it. This is just me, but after going to Architectural Review and the developers and everybody's kind of turning their nose to you, I would have somebody come in, landscape everything in my property. I wouldn't care if it was in a neighbor's yard, and then I would build my pool in the neighbor's yard and tell him that's what you intend to do. And if he doesn't like the sound of it, then let him and you get together. If you have to, split the bill, go to court, and make it right. He says, I guess my bubble has really burst. Welcome to Florida's friendliest hometown. The town of Lady Lake has contracted with Asphalt Paving Systems Incorporated for the milling and paving of certain roadways in Lady Lake. The work may cause minor delays and inconveniences. Please be assured that no vehicles, boats, trailers, debris, etc. are left in the roadway from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the day of the application. The estimated work for the asphalt paving is now throughout September 4th, but can vary due to weather conditions. I read that because part of the historical area is in Lady Lake, and they're going to be resurfacing your road also. Anxiety is rising in the Glenda Villas after confirmation of the discovery of a 350 square foot anomaly. City of Wildwood officials have received geotechnical testing reports and recommendations for remediation of the surface depressions reported last week at 5980 Scardino Street in the Villages section of Wildwood, and have issued an emergency authorization to Earth Tech LLC to begin work. Sinkholes appeared near the middle of the road and at the corner of a driveway in the village of Monarch Grove. Scardino Street and its accompanying right-of-way are under the jurisdiction of the city of Wildwood, which assumes responsibility for the local roads in the villages south and State Road 44 after construction and an initial maintenance period by the developer. Crews immediately secured the right-of-way and backfilled the depressions to prepare for geotechnical testing to determine the source of the cause. Engineers conducted and analyzed the ground-penetrating radar survey that identified a semi-elliptical anomaly of approximately 350 square feet. We recognize the concern and inconvenience it has created for local residents, and we are working as quickly as we can while taking every possible precaution to ensure their safety while work proceeds. The prosecutor's office has filed a reduced charge in the case of a villager accused of a fatal country club beating in the Villages. Can you believe it? He killed an 87-year-old man for no reason at all other than the fact that he probably had too much to drink, and now they've reduced his charges. The legal system here, it's almost laughable. Robert Moore, 75, of the village of Polo Ridge, was arrested on July 27th on a charge of aggravated manslaughter of an elderly person in connection with the death of 87-year-old Dean William Zook of the Villages. He died July 16th, more than 2 weeks after he was attacked over a fender bender at Glenview Country Club. And it was a mistaken car identity. Wasn't even the guy's car. Last week, the prosecutor's office formally charged Moore, but quietly reduced the charge to manslaughter. Aggravated manslaughter of an elderly person is a first-degree felony. Manslaughter is a felony of the second degree. It could make a difference if the case reaches a sentencing phase. When Moore was initially interviewed by the detectives, he said he was unaware of Zook's age, but admitted Zook was older and appeared to be frail. The report noted that Zook was 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighed 160 pounds, while Moore stands 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 210. Moore has pleaded not guilty in the case. He remains free on a $30,000 bond. If you want to know more about that case, go back to the last 2 weeks on the other news and you can get caught up. A driver with a suspended license and syringes was arrested after a traffic stop in the Villages. You know, I look at this picture, and I don't really mean to be mean and cruel, but I am really getting kind of sick and tired of drunks and druggies around here. Some of these people just look the part. That's all I'll say. Ronald Yule Green, 63 of Ocklawaha, was driving a silver Ford F-150 at 12:17 p.m. Tuesday on Buena Vista Boulevard when a Sumter County Sheriff's deputy noticed he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. A traffic stop was conducted near the entrance of the Village of Liberty Park. Green attempted to lie about his identity in an apparent attempt to prevent the deputy from discovering that he has had his license suspended for a controlled substance violation and failure to pay court fine costs. He was previously convicted for driving on a suspended license in 2008 and 2009. This one here will make 3. The deputy was performing an inventory prior to towing of Green's pickup and found 3 syringes in the driver's side door pocket. They were loaded with a substance that tested positive to heroin. These people are just stupid carrying that stuff around in your car. And I got no license. And I got drugs in my door of my car. Green was arrested on charges of possession of a controlled substance, driving while license suspended, providing a false information to a law enforcement officer. He was booked at Sumter County Detention Center on an $11,000 bond. So apparently he wasn't released. The Florida Lottery has announced that 66-year-old Michael Nelson Sr. of the Villages has claimed a $1 million prize from the $1 million a year for life spectacular scratch-off game. He claimed the prize at the lottery's Tampa district office. He chose to receive his winning as a one-time lump sum payment of $640,000. Nelson purchased his winning ticket from Circle K, located at 770 Kristen Way at Lake Deaton Plaza. The retailer received a $2,000 bonus commission for selling the winning scratch-off ticket. Congratulations, man, really. That's life-changing money right there, or at least it is for me. But congratulations. Have fun with it. If I was to win that much money, I wouldn't give it all away. Absolutely not. But I almost guarantee you that I would give a hefty chunk. I don't know how much. It's easy to say it when you don't have it, right? But I would almost guarantee you, I'd give a hefty chunk. I'd write a check, and I would take it down to the Children's Wish Foundation down there after seeing the work that they do, and I'd give it to them. I would. But I don't have it, and I can't, but that's what I would do. A villager refused to take a breath test after crashing her car in a roundabout. Kimberly Ann Cross, 67, who lives at Creekside Landing, crashed her green Fiat at about 9 p.m. Tuesday in a roundabout on Bailey Trail and Buena Vista Boulevard, according to an arrest report of Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Her vehicle struck a light pole in the roundabout. A deputy noticed that Cross had an unsteady walk. The deputy could also smell alcohol on the Albany, New York native's breath. Ah, New York. We missed you. She was invited to participate in field sobriety exercises. She told the deputy she has had a bilateral hip replacement, but agreed to take part in the exercises anyway. Cross struggled through the exercises, leading the deputy to conclude that she had been driving impaired. She initially said she would provide a breath sample, but then she said needed to speak to someone before doing so. Ultimately, she did not provide a breath sample. She was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released on a $1,000 bond. She was also ticketed for careless driving. Here we go again. Children, children, children. A resident of the Villages recently released from a drug rehabilitation facility has been arrested with cocaine. Lucas Leland Dixon, 27, who lives at 3098 Spider Lily Street in the village of Finney, was driving a red Ford pickup early Tuesday morning in Eustis when he was pulled over for an inoperable taillight, according to a rush report of the Eustis Police Department. The officer making a traffic stop was familiar with Dixon, who admitted he was recently released from Livestream's Behavioral Center and was staying at the Colonial Motel. The officer was aware that Dixon is a crack cocaine user. He was arrested on charges of possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $3,000 bond. Yada, yada, yada. A battle erupted between two married men after a renter moved in at their home in the Villages. Jonathan Manuel Jones, 35, who lives at 434 Tarson Boulevard in the village of Silver Lake, was taken into custody Sunday on a charge of domestic battery. A man who said he was married to Jones and has been in a domestic relationship with him for 7 years told police he was tired of being hit and punched by his husband. He said he and Jones had been arguing over a roommate that was renting a room within their home. He said Jones became angry and punched him in the back with a closed fist. The man said he turned away to try to shield himself and accidentally spilled a cup of coffee on the master bed. The report noted there was a large wet area on the bed. Don't touch it. He also admitted he struck back at Jones in an attempt to protect himself. Jones was booked at the Lake County Jail, and the native of Venezuela was released after posting a $1,000 bond. I have no words. A villager's problematic son, once plucked from the pond, is back in trouble again. Marion County Sheriff's deputies have received information from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office on Saturday that 54-year-old Eric Carl Blom of the village of Lynnhaven was driving a stolen 2015 Honda CR-V. When deputies found the car in Summerfield, another man was behind the wheel. The other man said Blom, who was wanted on Sumter County warrants, was at a home in Summerfield. When deputies arrived at the residence, they heard a woman screaming. Good choice, ladies. The woman said that Blom was in the home and gave them permission to search it. Deputies, with the assistance of a canine, found Blom hiding in a back bedroom. He was taken into custody and booked at the Marion County Jail. In 2020, Blom was arrested after jumping into a retention pond near the Lynnhaven neighborhood pool. At the time, he was being pursued by law enforcement. I remember that. He was also arrested in an incident in which he posted what was considered a threatening message on Facebook. A villager sipping a Corona beer in her golf cart has been arrested on a drunk driving charge. Patricia Ellen Swanson, 60, of the village of Point Siena, was in a white golf cart shortly before 11 p.m. Saturday, parked on the side of the road, pointed in the wrong direction in the area of Odell Circle and Buena Vista Boulevard. The Mason City, Iowa native said she had been at a friend's house and admitted she consumed 1 glass of wine and 1 beer. Swanson agreed to participate in field sobriety exercises, but midway into the exercises, she asked about having a lawyer present. She declined to continue the exercises. She also refused to provide a breath sample. The deputy spotted a large thermal cup in the cup holder of Swanson's golf cart. The deputy identified the beverage in the cup as Corona beer. Swanson was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence and ticketed for open container and driving on the wrong side of the road. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. The daughter of a couple in the Villages has been sentenced after crashing into a pole at the popular restaurant. Michelle Meredith Collar, 48, who lives with her parents in the Belmont Villas in the village of Belvedere, was sentenced earlier this month in Sumter County Court to 1 year of probation. She will also lose her driver's license for 6 months and has been ordered to perform 100 hours of community service. She received credit for 2 days already spent in jail. Carla was driving a black Honda Accord at about 9:30 p.m. June 8th at Bonefish Grill when she crashed into a pole. So she's in a parking lot doing 5 miles an hour and she ran into a pole, causing the pole to break and fall. An open bottle of wine was found in her car. Kohler had a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage emitting from her breath as she spoke. The New York native agreed to participate in field sobriety exercises but claimed she suffers from vertigo. She struggled through the exercises. She provided a breath sample that registered .230 blood alcohol content. Kohler was arrested in 2021 when she was living in an apartment in Lady Lake. She had also been arrested in 2017. They never learn. Once they get here, they never learn, no matter what age. They just keep getting arrested over and over again. A villager has been sentenced in a drunk driving case after crashing her BMW into a golf cart at Brownwood. Andrea Lee Feeney, 68, of the village of Lake Deaton, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. She had been placed on probation for 1 year, will lose her driver's license for 1 year, and has been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. She was arrested April 5 as a result of a crash which occurred at the village's golf cars on West Torch Lake Drive, according to the arrest report. Bystanders called 911 after Feeney's blue 2021 BMW Sport utility vehicle strayed from her lane and struck 3 golf carts parked outside the golf cart retailer. She was still seated in the BMW when officers arrived at the scene. It appeared she had been drinking. You think? She was transported to UF Health, the village's hospital, that has a 1-star rating. She was transported to UF Health, the village's hospital, freestanding emergency room clinic at Brownwood for a medical evaluation. Finney admitted she had been drinking and said she had 1 sangria, 2 margaritas. I asked them to make them weak, she said. She refused to provide breath samples. A villager who wouldn't give a urine sample during a driving under the influence investigation has won a big victory in her criminal case. Rebecca Lynn Shuford, 62, who lives in the Birchbrook Villas located behind Mulberry Grove Plaza, was driving a gray Dodge pickup shortly before noon, August 13, 2022, on U.S. Highway 27441 when she made an abrupt U-turn, according to the arrest report. The driver of another vehicle was forced to slam on the brakes to avoid a collision. A traffic stop was initiated at Racetrack. I'm not drunk or on drugs, the South Carolina native told the officer. However, her eyes were glassy and her pupils were constricted. She was invited to participate in field sobriety exercises but couldn't follow instructions. The exercises had to be stopped out of concern of her safety. Shuford provided a breath sample that registered .000 blood alcohol content. She was asked to provide a urine sample, but politely declined and said she did not have to use the restroom. She was offered water but refused. She was warned that not providing a urine sample could be considered a refusal to submit to testing. She still refused to submit to a urine sample. Shuford was arrested on charges of driving under the influence and refusal to submit to testing. Not providing a sample turned out to be pivotal in her case. Without the evidence, the prosecutor's office last week in Lake County opted to drop the DUI and refusal to submit charges and allowed Shuford to offer pleas of no contest to charges of careless driving and failure to yield. She has been fined a total of $1,000 but will be allowed to keep her driver's license. As much as you're going to hate me saying this, I kind of agree to that, and I'll tell you why. I was trained as a union leader when I was with the UAW, taking care of truck drivers for UAW. You do not have to provide evidence against yourself. It's your right. The Rio Grande Recreation Center's air gun facility will be closed for maintenance on Monday. The schedule may be adjusted due to unforeseen circumstances, including weather. If you have any questions or need additional information, contact the Chula Vista Recreational Center at 352-753-0002. Yeah, that air pistol up there, rifle and pistol, they have clubs for that also. It's pretty cool. We only have one here as far as I know. Here we go with mommy and daddy's kids again. A 20-year-old living with his grandparents in the Villages has been arrested after cutting off a woman in a roundabout and allegedly damaging her car. The woman had been traveling at about 3:30 p.m. Thursday northbound on Morse Boulevard, heading for County Road 466A, when a man driving a truck sped up next to her and cut her off at the roundabout, almost hitting her. The woman said the man got out of the truck, ranting and yelling. She said she was in fear of her safety. She sped off, but soon noticed a truck was following her. The truck was in the lane next to her vehicle when she heard two bangs. She looked at the man driving the truck, and he was laughing. She stopped and looked at her driver's side rear door, which had two fresh dents. She took a picture of the truck's license plates as well as the driver. A deputy inspected the damaged door, concluded that it looked like something had been thrown at it. The deputy found that the registered owner of the truck lives at 3662 Red Fox Loop in the village of Finney. The deputy went to the home and spoke to the grandmother of Caleb Christian Miller. She identified the man in the photo as her grandson and agreed to call him and asked him to return home. Miller told her deputy he had simply given the woman a courtesy beep. He also claimed the woman made finger gun gestures at him. Miller was arrested on a charge of criminal mischief. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. The new Hobby Lobby store opened Friday at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the Villages. The Villages store is Hobby Lobby's 56th location in Florida and joins more than 900 Hobby Lobby stores across the nation. Sandra Jeffries is the store manager of the 55,000 square foot retail facility located at 3835 Wedgwood Lane. Store hours are Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Hobby Lobby stores are closed on Sunday. For all you Hobby Lobby shoppers, it's now open. I have an interesting story about the time that I took Sue, yes, you heard me, I took Sue to Hobby Lobby and did some shopping for me. You might get a chuckle out of that story, because I do, even to this day. I'll put that story on Patreon. Let's do a couple letters to the editor and see what people are talking about. You notice on most of these letters to the editor, there's a lot of them about politics. I don't read them. Because all I'm going to do when I read them is I'm going to make at least half of you mad, so I don't read them. Here's one. Letters to the editor. I moved to Florida from Texas. While living in Texas, I was hit 2 different times by Hispanic drivers that had no insurance or driver's license. Texas passed a law that allows law enforcement to confiscate, tow, and impound vehicles with no insurance and or driver's license. It's simple. No driver's license or insurance, and the vehicle is removed from the streets. Driver can't get the car out of impound without proof of valid driver's license and insurance. Well, I don't want to say anything, but that's not new. I had a record company in Indiana, and Indiana was that way. Period. Okay, that's from Dennis Howe from the Bel Air Mobile Home Village. Well, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that. To the editor, I know people who need their dog with them at all times. If the animal is in a buggy or backpack or purse, it isn't walking on the floor or causing disruption to others. Let me stop right there. What you just mentioned is what a lot of people are complaining about. They don't want the dog in the grocery cart. It isn't walking on the floor or causing disruption to others. We all need to consider others in these post-pandemic times and figure out solutions to needs. The solutions are out there. Consideration is key. I'm working on being more thoughtful about others' needs, realizing we are all doing the best we can. Grateful for being able to live here also. Thank you. That's the end by Colleen Kelly from the village of Charlotte. All of these letters about the grocery store is because Publix posted signs now saying you're not allowed to bring dogs inside your store anymore. And trust me, here in the villages, taking your dog everywhere is a big deal. They like to take them inside restaurants. I have issues with that. I mean, if it's a service dog, hey, I don't care. You do what you do to get by. But people that are perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong with them. There's no need to have a dog in a restaurant. Surely you can do without little Miss Muffin over here for an hour. To the editor, Kim Van Arsdale, I am happy you decided not to shop at Publix and obey the federal and state rules. Food establishments and restaurants are no place for any pets. It's unsanitary and, in my opinion, gross. That's sent in by Dan Gabriel from Boca Raton. To the editor, I know that people love their dogs like children. However, they are not. Not only should they not be allowed in grocery stores, they shouldn't be allowed in Target, Walmart, or Lowe's, etc. They should only be allowing service dogs in these types of places. Leave your pets at home. It's hot out there. That's sent in by John McNow, the village of St. Catherine. Here's the only thing I care about as dog owners is maintain your pet. Have control of your pet. It shouldn't be barking in a store at all. It shouldn't be taking a squat on the floor or any of this kind of thing. And if your dog hasn't been trained to behave, then it shouldn't be anywhere, really. You shouldn't be taking it to the square or any of this kind of stuff. It's disruptive. They bark, they carry on, and it disturbs other dogs, gets them to start barking. It's just a big pain in the ass. So just don't do it. Be a good neighbor. State Farm is there. All right, let's see how many holes in ones we got this week. Looks like maybe 2. Ken Kelly of the village of St. John's was thrilled after getting his first hole-in-one. He scored the lucky ace on August the 20th at hole number 15 at the Marsh View Pitch and Putt course. Congratulations on your first hole-in-one, Ken. I know it's exciting. A villager got his first hole-in-one after 45 years of golfing. Troy Sauter of the village of Amelia scored the lucky ace on August the 15th at hole number 7 at Mangrove Executive Golf Course. He used an 8-iron. Good gone, Troy. I think that's going to be the news for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, give us that like or that thumbs up button right there. Come back for more. And Monday will be another video. I think it's going to be a how-to video. Wednesday will be porch setting once again. That's always fun. And then next Friday, of course, will be more of the village's news. So that being said, have a great day.
Don't leave your keys in the golf cart.